Welcome to Vlon. This is a designing tool for various industries that use flat designs in their production processes. The industries this tool is applicable to are textiles, tiles, wallpapers, and other similar industries where placement and pattern designs are a major part of production. The tool helps you get production-ready, high-resolution files in SVG format, TIFF format, and other formats which are applicable in these industries. Now I will take you through the process of using this tool in your organization. The first step is, once we have activated your account, you begin by registering your account. The registration can be done through single sign-on, Google, or simply by using any email which you use for your business. Now, as you can see, the account has been registered and you are taken to the main screen. Once you are done registering your organization at Vlon.ai and your account has been approved by our team, you will be able to access your dashboard upon login. Before we begin creating new projects and designs, I would like to take you through the dashboard itself. On the very top right are the credits that have been allocated to you by Vlon.ai. Right now, as you can see, this current organization has 7,653 credits. This is a live tracking of the credits. As your organization keeps on using these credits, they will reduce. Once your credits are running low, you can contact your point of contact to upload more credits as per your contract. Next to it is your profile picture. By clicking on it, you can see your role in the organization. The present account has been listed as an admin account, underneath which it will show your name and the email that you have used to register your organization. Below that, you can access the settings and other options such as Contact Us and Sign Out. Before we come to the settings, I will take you through the other elements of the dashboard. As you can see on the top left, you have the present date, underneath which you can see the key metrics to track how Vlon.ai is being used in your organization. This includes the credits that you have consumed over the last 1 month, the total number of images that you have generated, the total number of projects that your organization has created, and most importantly, the exports generated, which will be essentially the number of production-ready PDFs, TNGs, TIFFs, SVGs, and PSDs that have been downloaded by your organization. Underneath is your projects list. Since right now there are no projects which have been created in this organization, you can either create a new project or book a demo if you still need further help with using Vlon.ai. Before I create my first project, I will take you back to the settings page and briefly take you through all the settings you can configure for your organization as an admin. The first tab here is the Profile tab, under which you can edit your first name and last name. The email address and the role cannot be edited. In order to edit those, you will have to request your point of contact at Vlon.ai. Below that, it will show you all the teams that you are a part of within the organization. For the admin will be a part of all the teams within the organization. But for the members, it will only show the teams which they have been a part of. The members can choose to leave a team by clicking on the Leave Team button. Furthermore, there are basic metrics as to how many members are in that particular team and how many projects are being carried out by the team itself. The next tab is the Teams tab. Here, you will have the capability to see a list of all the teams that you are a part of and also create new teams by clicking on the Create Team button. You can create a new team, add a description, which could be the role of that team within your organization or the brands that team works with, and simply create the team. As you can see, the team has been successfully created and it will start appearing on the New Teams page. The new team name is now visible here. In terms of the teams that are listed, you can track various metrics, such as the number of members within that team, the number of projects, the total images that have been generated by that team, and the total credits used by that particular team. If you click on this accordion menu, you will be able to see the list of members within that team, as well as remove those members. There are certain performance metrics related to each member in that particular team, which can be tracked as seen here. Below this, you can simply add the email address of the member which you wish to add to the team. But in order to do so, it is necessary that the member has been added to the organization and the request for adding the member is no longer pending. So this is basically the team setting. The next is the member setting. Here, you can add new members, search for members who are in the team, track their performance, remove members. In order to add a member, you will have to click on the Add Member button. Type in the name of the member, their email address, and assign them to the teams that you want them to be a part of. On the top left, you can see your lifetime projects and exports that you have generated from your account. Now, in order to go back to the dashboard, you can simply click on the Vlon logo and you will be redirected to the dashboard. Once you are on the dashboard, now we will begin with creating our first project. In order to create our first project, we will have to click on this button here. Once you click on the button, you will be shown a basic form which you will have to use to create the project. You can name the project anything. So we will call this the walkthrough project. You can also change this name before creating the project. You can assign this project to any team or teams that you wish should carry the project out. Underneath that is the mode selection. There are 3 modes which you can use in Vlon.ai in order to complete your projects. The first mode is Image to Designs. What this mode does is, it basically picks up an image of a pattern or room or a photograph, which you can use to create single designs, combine designs from multiple objects visible in a picture or photograph, or extract individual designs and objects into different designs from the objects visible in a picture or a photograph. The second mode of generation is moodboard to designs. This works best when you are working on mood boards containing multiple pictures in the form of PDFs and PPTs. What this does is that it will extract each and every picture from the mood board and will upscale that. Thereafter, you can use it in a similar way to how the Image to Designs mode works and get your final designs. The third mode is Text to Designs, which is essentially a mode which helps your imagination run wild. Whatever you imagine, you can simply write down to Vlon.ai, and Vlon.ai will make your imaginations come to life. In order to create our first project, I will use the Image to Designs mode. By the use of this mode, I will showcase you all the features that Vlon.ai uses to create your final designs. I will be using several images. With the first image, I will create a design which is highly influenced, and Vlon.ai has applied its creativity to it. The second image that I will use will be to show how Vlon.ai can use a design sketch or an image to create a design which closely matches the original image that is uploaded. The third image that I will use will be a picture of a room wherein multiple patterns will be visible on different objects within that room, and I will extract those patterns from that particular image and create separate designs. The fourth image that I will use is again an image of a different room, wherein I will combine designs visible on different objects into a single design. And lastly, the fifth image would be a photograph of an object which would be used to create a design using that object visible in the photograph as a motif. Let us begin this by renaming our project to Image to Designs mode. We can start the project by simply clicking on the Create button. As you can see, the project has been created successfully, and now you are guided to a screen where you are required to upload your first image. Here I will upload my first image, which is a simple geometric pattern. Once the image has been uploaded, I will click on the button. Now, as you can see, the image has been uploaded and you are on the Image to Designs canvas. Here, you will have multiple options and tooltips, which I will take you through after uploading all the images which I intend to use for this particular project. In order to upload our next image, we simply have to click on this tooltip on the top right corner, which says Upload Image. I can click this tooltip and I can upload my second image. Similarly, I will go on uploading my next images. Now, as you can see, all these images have been successfully uploaded and upscaled. So we can begin using them for our project. Before we begin, on the top right, I would like you to note that a new tool has been added, which is called the version selector. What this helps you essentially do is that it helps you scroll back to various versions of the projects, depending on the settings that you have changed during the course of working on the project, and cycle back and select images for your final production. The other tooltip is Select All Images. Once you click on this tool, All the images on the canvas will be selected. Now, you can either choose to download all these images or delete these images. By simply clicking on the Select All tool, you can also deselect all the images that you have selected. Under the images, there are certain common tools, which you will also see in the Mood Board to Designs canvas. I will briefly take you through these tools before I start setting up the images for design generation. The first tooltip is called the Guide Image. This is essentially used for images wherein multiple patterns are visible in a single image and you intend to extract them, combine them, or convert them into motifs. The second tooltip is the Edit Image tooltip. This tooltip is essential for images wherein there are unnecessary backgrounds or noise which you wish to delete, and not let Vlon.ai be influenced by those unnecessary backgrounds and noise. The third tooltip is the Download Image. The fourth tooltip is the Duplicate Image. Once I click on the duplicate image, the image that I have duplicated, as you can see, appears as the sixth image. By clicking on the fifth tooltip, I can simply delete the image. The blank tooltips that you see here are the selection tooltips. Once you click on this, the Select All tooltip also gets activated. What it helps you do is essentially select the images and delete which you think have been uploaded by mistake or are unnecessary for your project. Within the image, you can see the embedded tooltip, which is the Upscale tooltip. If you are not happy with the initial upscale of the image, you can click on this tooltip and your image will be upscaled to 2 times the resolution of the current image. So these are the basic tooltips. Now I have taken you through all the options and the tools which are visible on the Image to Designs canvas. I would like to take you through in detail the 2 major tools, which are the Guide Image and the Edit Image. I will showcase you the similarities between the 2 tools and how to use these tools using the different features within. Let's begin by going through the Guide Image tool. The Guide Image tool has been divided into 2 parts. On the left-hand side, you see the influence settings. Basically, by the use of these settings, you can influence the final design outcome as per your desire. These settings are common to the Guide Image and the Edit tools. On the right-hand side, you have the image which you will be using to influence or base your design upon. Here, you have the Zoom In and the Zoom Out toggle. You can freely move the image within the canvas. You can use the reset to set it to its original orientation. Here, you again have the Download, Delete, and the Update options. Once you are done setting up the image guide and you are done setting up the influence settings, you simply click on the Update and all the settings will be saved for that particular image. Now, coming to the 3 major guide tools. The first tool is the Object Extraction tool. What it does is it will extract individual objects, which you name in the prompt box, and explain their use in the design. And it will convert those objects into motifs as per your guide in the prompt box. Then it is the Combined Pattern. This will essentially extract different patterns from the objects within an image and arrange them in an orientation that you describe in the prompt box. Thereafter, the final guiding tool is the Individual Pattern tool. This extracts individual patterns from an image based on the objects named in the prompt box in comma-separated form. So these are the 3 major guide tools. Now coming to the Edit tools. As you can see, the tools out there have changed. Now you have a Crop tool, a Lasso tool, an Undo button, and a Redo button. You can use the Crop tool to simply crop the image to your desired size. Apply the same, and if you are not liking what you have cropped, you can cycle back. If you think that what you cropped was something that you liked, you can always go back to the cropped size image. So these are basically the crop tools. They are best used for images where there are unnecessary breaks in the image, or there are unnecessary backgrounds, or there is an object which you want to target. You can simply, instead of using the guide tool, use the crop tool to circle out that object and extract the pattern from it. But this works best where the number of objects are limited and the designs and the pictures have less noise. So this is where the Edit tools will come to use. Now going back to the influence settings. As I underlined before, these are common to the guide image as well as the Edit image. The first influence setting is the design lock. What it essentially does is it locks in the original design that you have uploaded to Vlon.ai. Depending on the selections within the tool, it will influence your final outcome, which will either be extremely close to the picture uploaded or a creative rendition of the same, but essentially the same design altogether. Then it is the reference image. What it does is it picks up the colors, styles, and the moods, then generates a fresh, imaginative design loosely based on this image that you have uploaded. Then it is the generation type. The generation types influence the amount of creativity that will go into the final design. These generation types are basic, creative, and visionary. Basic is a very vector-like or a flat design. Then, creative adds some amount of detailing and aesthetic to the design. But visionary is something which will render a design which is as close to the original image in terms of its detailing and colors, but not exactly the same as the design lock. Now, the generation type is not available when you are using the reference image, because everything is based on the creativity which is available in the original image. And the only creativity that is applied is in the layout and the slight aesthetic of the design. But with the design lock, your generation types change to two different types of creativity. One is extreme, which essentially locks in the design as is and creates an iteration of the original design while not losing even the slightest of the details. Basic is something that will lock in the design, but will apply a slight amount of creativity. For using design lock, it is always suggested that you use flat images without any objects or backgrounds visible in that. And you use high-definition images in order to make use of the design lock to the best of its capabilities. This is basically the initial settings. Underneath that is the aesthetics and the elements library. Here we have a library of various layouts, art styles, embroidery styles, common motifs, and traditional patterns from all across the globe. You can either choose one of these layout styles, and you can choose various art styles and so on. This would end up influencing the final design that you get. While using the aesthetics and the elements library with the basic generation type, you will get the most interesting results. But if you use it with the reference image, then these art styles would not be highly visible. When using with design lock, these art styles might not be visible at all because your design would be locked to the original design. If it is on the extreme setting with the basic setting, you will see very minimal hints of the same. So these are basically the two tools which you will be using. If you do not wish to use any tool, you can simply choose not to change any of these settings. However, you can use the Edit tool to set up the image for its creativity level. Now that I have taken you through the main tools, I will now start setting up these images to show you the final design outcomes based on how these images are set up. For the first image, I am going to duplicate it twice because I wish to show you the differences between the basic, creative, and visionary generation types. So let's duplicate this image. The image has been duplicated. Now, for the first image, I'm not going to make any changes to the edit image settings, and I'm going to leave it to basic. For the second duplication, I'm going to update this to creative. And for the third duplication, I'm going to update this to visionary. For the second image, I'm going to show you the capabilities of the design lock and the reference image and the difference between the two types of design locks. Hence, again, I will be duplicating this image and then set up 3 different design influence settings. Since these images also include various breaks within the image, I'm going to edit the image, use the crop tool to select the best area that has the most preserved design elements, apply the same, put this as the image reference, save and exit. The image has been cropped, saved, and the settings have also been updated. Similarly, I will apply the crop again to the duplicate copy. I will save it and then I'll go back and apply the basic design lock to this. With the third copy, again I'll repeat the same process, crop the image, save it, go back and set up the design lock to extreme. Now, as you can see, with the first image, we have set the image reference. With the second copy, we have the design lock at basic. And with the third copy, we have the design lock at extreme. The first two images and their copies will help you understand the various influences and how they affect the design. Now we will use the third image to extract patterns from various objects visible in the image. We will go to Guide Image. We will select the individual pattern option and start naming the objects by separating them with commas. Carpets, blue pillow, orange wall hanging. We will update this guide. We can choose the generation type in order to manage the creativity of the final design. Let's put this at creative and we'll update the guide. This guide has been updated. Now we'll use the fourth image for combining different patterns. Again, we'll have to go to the guide image and we'll go to the combined patterns option. In the prompt box, we will have to refer to the objects and tell Vlon.ai how we want those patterns to appear in our design. For this particular picture, let's start guiding this image. We can say that the wave pattern has a central motif design, and the quilt pattern has a border. Again, let's set this to visionary and update it. Now comes our last and final image for the image to designs mode. We want to extract the skulls from this photograph. We will again go to Guide Image. The object extraction has already been selected. We'll simply say skull and update. Now, once we are done with guiding the images and setting the edits and the influences, we can click on Continue and move on to the next screen. On the next screen, you can select the final production type which you would be using for the designs. There are three options. The first is screen prints, the second is embroideries, and the third is digital prints. Furthermore, there are other design types. There are placement and repeat pattern. If you select the placement, then you will get a placement design which will be non-repeatable. But with the repeat pattern, the designs will be seamlessly repeatable. Underneath are the width and the height options. These are basically the size of the canvas which you wish to use. The design will be created in the closest ratio to fit that particular canvas. Additionally, to the width and the height, if you are working with screen prints, then you will also get a choice of the number of colors here, which you can set to any number, but the advisable range is between 0 to 10. Since we have already created a pattern for the wave design, where the wave is placed within a border, the appropriate design type for this project right now is placement. Let us start with the digital printing. Then we will come back to embroidery and screen prints. You can always come back to this screen. Once you have updated any of these production or design types, you can cycle back to it in the version history, which I will come back to after creating the designs. Let us continue. Now, the most interesting part of Vlon.ai has begun, which is the image generation. Once the images are generated, I will take you through all the images and the guides that we had set for those images. Now, as you can see, the designs have been generated, and I will take you through each one of these designs one by one. The first design is where we had set the image for design lock, and it was set to extreme. As you can see, this image is exactly the reproduction of the design with creative elements all around it. The next was the design lock with the basic setting. As you can see, it is built essentially on the very same design, but Vlon.ai has added its creativity. The third is the first image that we had used to see the difference between the basic, visionary, and creative design types. As per your own preference, you can play around with the various generation types and get a variety of designs. Then it is the picture of the room where we had extracted patterns from various elements or objects. We had selected the carpet, the blue pillow, and the wall hanging. Essentially, these patterns are matching those particular objects. Then it is the extraction of the object itself from the photograph, which is the skull. Thereafter, it is the combination pattern, wherein the wave design has been put inside a border which is influenced by the design of the quilt. Lastly, it's the second image again, wherein we had used the style reference. Now, Vlon.ai used the same aesthetics and the design type layout for this design, and reproduced the design with a lot of its own creativity. As you must have also noticed, here there are new tools which are available to you. These are the two types of edit tools that you can use in Vlon.ai. Let's make use of these tools. We can edit any image. The first way to edit the image is by using the text-to-edit feature. Let's say, add a large ship in the middle. Once we click on Generate, the generation will start and the design will upload here. As you can see, the image is still generating. Now, the generation has completed, and the text-to-edit prompt has added the ship in the middle of the waves. This way, you can play around with your designs. The next form of edit is through making selections and changing specific targeted areas. The second form of editing is targeted editing, wherein you can select specific areas where you want to edit. Now, for this image, we can say Add Dog Motifs and Update. Now the edit has started. As you can see, the image has been successfully edited and dog motifs have been added to those designs. Once you are done editing the designs, you can also regenerate some of the designs which you do not like. Let's regenerate the design for the skull and see the other options that we get. Now that we have generated designs and made edits, we can start making selections for the final production. In order to do so, we can click the selection tool and make our respective selections. However, if we wish to change the production type, we can go back, select screen print, and say 4 colors, and continue. This will update the method of production and will give us designs which are appropriate for screen print. As you can see, once you click on the version history, you will now have an additional update, and you can cycle back to a previous version in order to access the images that you had previously generated. The images for the screen print mode of production have been generated. As you can see, now the images are more appropriate for screen printing rather than digital printing. Here, you can again make edits or select the picture. If you wish to go back to your previous mode of production, you can click on the version history and you will be taken back to the digital printing screen. Similarly, if you change the design type to a repeat pattern, a new version will be created and it will be updated. You have seen that we have now generated images and designs of different kinds, both in placement and repeats, by using images which showcase all the capabilities of Vlon.ai to generate images through your reference images. We will now move to the second mode of image generation, which is mood board to designs. For this project, we will name it Mood Board to Designs. We will again allocate the design team to the same, and we will select the mode as Mood Board to Designs. Before we begin with Mood Board to Designs, Mood Board to Designs has essentially all the same functionalities as Image to Designs, apart from the fact that it converts large mood boards containing hundreds of pictures into separate individual images which you can set up on the Canvas page and generate your designs. In this project, I will showcase that capability of Vlon.ai. Let's begin with this project. The project has been created, and this time, you will have to upload your mood board. We will take this mood board, which contains multiple pictures of different kinds, and all of these images will be extracted and upscaled from the mood board. The mood board has been successfully uploaded. We can click on the Continue button, and we will be directed to the mood board Canvas page, where all the images from the mood board will be extracted and upscaled. The mood board extraction has begun, and now each and every image is being upscaled. As you can see, the canvas is similar to the canvas which was used for Image to Designs, and the tooltips here are also the same. Setting up the images is the same as Image to Designs, and even the guide image and edit tools work in the same way here. Once your mood board has been extracted and uploaded, you can start filtering out the unnecessary images which you do not wish to use for your design. or upscale them further if you are not satisfied by the initial upscale. This is basically the mood board to designs mode, and it will work in the same way as the image to designs mode. We can now go back to the dashboard to showcase our third and final type of image generation. Once I generate an image through text to designs mode, I will take you through the export screen and we will be done with the workflow. We can again assign the design team and begin the project in the same way. Now the text to designs page has uploaded. Here, you can write in the design that you wish to generate. Let's say, a dog sitting on a chair and playing with a deck of cards. And continue. It has been generated from the text. We again have the same options to edit the image using text prompting, mask selection, or we also can regenerate this image. Let's see what happens when we regenerate the image. The regeneration has started, and we will now get an iteration of the design. Compared to the previous one, we have a better looking design, a happier dog, which we can further edit or just select and move on to the export screen by clicking on Continue. In this export screen, which is the final screen in the workflow, here you will be able to set up your images for machine application and final printing. As you see on the right is the currently selected image out of your selected images, which is appearing on the right. Underneath the list of images are the export settings, wherein you can set up the PPI and select the format in which you want to export the image. The export format depends on how you wish to export the image. Right now, as image export has been selected, the available options are TIFF, PNG, and JPEG. The same would be available for mockups. You can get a customized mockup list as per your organization on your dashboard. The default mockup list includes bedroom, living room, kitchen, and apparels. You have the option to upscale the image in order to meet your machine applications. This is advisable for all the generations since, in order to improve the printing quality, the upscaling can be done from 4 times to 10 times the original size. You can also set a target resolution after upscaling to ensure that the PPI to DPI conversion is as per your machine requirements. Here is a toggle switch to check how your design would look in a continuous repeat. This works for both placement and repeat designs. If you wish to use a design for screen printing, you can convert the design into SVG layers. Basically, here, once you select the SVG layers conversion, you will see all the colors which are visible to the AI model within the design. By scrolling this, you can, in a sequence, select the colors that you wish to vectorize the image in, or select and deselect the colors which you want to vectorize the design in. Let's try vectorizing this design into 4 different colors for a final screen printing application. For that, we simply need to click on the Vectorize Now button. Now the vectorization has been started, and it's going to take a few moments. As you can see, the image has been successfully vectorized, and the selected color layers have now been totally separated from each other. Underneath is the layer control, wherein you can move the layers up and down as per your final production applications, or you can turn off the layers in order to see how the different layers are incorporated in the design. Another interesting feature is that you can play around with the colors in the design and create iterations of the same design in different colors. As well as, if you wish to incorporate more colors to the image, you can choose the Revectorize option, and it will revectorize the image. Once the revectorization is done, you can again choose the number of colors or change the colors as per your needs. In order to export an image in any form, whether it is image, mockup, SVG, PSD, or TIFF, you simply click on this Export Image button, and your export will be started. By doing this, your whole project would be complete. And your designs can now go for final production. This was the walkthrough to Vlon. Now, as you can see, during the working on this project, our key metrics have also been updated. Now you can keep a track on how your team or how your designing has performed and what the cost of the total designs was. Thank you.